The 4.6 livestream just wrapped up, revealing the brand new banners of Arlecchino, Linny, Baiju, and Wanderer. We're going to go through the pros and cons of all of them and talk about which are worth your primos, if you should spend now or maybe save for the future. Welcome to Jello Impact, where I've built and tested every single character to help you decide who you want to wish for and build. So they released the banners and then also Arlecchino's kit. I will be releasing a pre-release later today where I go over her kit and talk about everything about her, so make sure to subscribe for that. But I do want to say there is so much we don't know about this character, so it's really dangerous to plan to get her if you're hoping to get her for meta reasons. If you're hoping to get her for waifu reasons or just lore reasons because she's cool, absolutely, I would be 100% getting her as well. But in terms of power, this is one of the most difficult characters we've ever had to place by using the pre-release information that we have, and I will do my best in the pre-release, but we're really gonna have to wait for the actual testing. I will be getting early access to the character and releasing a guide on day one where I go over everything about her, how strong she is versus Hu Tao, how strong she is versus Linny, versus Yoimiya, versus all the other characters, whether it's Vape or Overloaded, all that stuff. I'll test her with every single character in the game because that's why I've built every character. So again, make sure to subscribe for that. But right now, if you clicked on this video hoping to know whether, like, for me to tell you whether or not to get Arlecchino, the answer is it's just impossible to know. And anyone who tells you otherwise is completely lying, to be honest with you, because there's so much nuance to her kit, so that you really need to play it first. So and plus the numbers could change. So again, I'll do my best in the pre-release soon, but that's all I can say for now. And in terms of Linny is a really interesting character for me, because he is a pyro charge shot bow user. If you can nail your Linny combos and not get interrupted and play the right team, man, he slaps. And his ceiling for damage is probably is the highest out of any pyro DPS. It sheets on paper the highest, it feels the highest. He actually has front load in his kit, unlike Hu Tao, Hu Tao has her burst, but like his is even way stronger than the burst, and you can play him with Farina and Vape, which is what I've been playing lately, and it's very fun. But it is also a bit living life on the edge. You can play with Zhongli with a shielder, but if you play with a shielder, unless you have really high investment Linny, you do feel like you lose a significant amount of damage. But if you do have high investment Linny, like maybe really cracked artifacts in his weapon or his C1, then you can get away with someone like Zhongli, Kazuha, Bennett to hyper buff Linny. He's got cool stuff. I won't make a full updated guide for Linny, but I will do something, and I'll talk about the changes that he's gotten. I think he's a really great character. Just please make sure you love his playstyle before you pull for him, because it just sucks getting knocked around. It sucks getting knocked out of things. I do think he is one of the stronger DPSs in the game. I just feel like his quality of life is not super high, and so if there's really aggressive enemies, it can be rough. But I do think that he is really strong, so you really can't go wrong getting Linny. I think he's a great pull, but he's not a character I can recommend to the general population because he is hard to play / annoying to play, depending on what your preference is. So, and that might be the case for Arlecchino too, but again, we'll have to see. So get Linny if you love him, and know that he really is a very strong character. He's very strong for speed runs. He's very strong for general abyss clears, and yeah, he's just very strong. So, but he does have those caveats. So just make sure that you know what you're doing when you get him. And then the second half. Oh, let's talk about the weapon banner. So we saw Arlecchino's weapon banner. If you are pulling for Arlecchino and you want to get her weapon, which, I mean, it looks like a cool weapon, then you want to make sure, well, no, then obviously we don't know whether like her weapon or constellations is better, but this is going to be a good weapon banner. Like, first great magic is great for Linny, it's great for Ganyu, it's a solid stat stick, it's great for Tainari. It's just a solid bow. It's not like the most universal bow ever, like it's no Aqua Simulacra, but it is like decent, it is solid, and we don't know if it's a great weapon banner to wish for Linny's bow. Hopefully you wished on Linny's previous weapon banner, but so we'll talk about that. So this is the weapon. Like, it looks cool. We don't have any information on it. We'll have to see. Baiju and Wanderer is very similar to Linny in that he has a high skill ceiling to play, and for me, playing him with a shielder feels bad unless unless you really hyper invest, like you have his C1 or C2 and C6 Farzan. Like using him with a shielder is tough. He does so much more damage without a shielder, but it's really hard to do for aggressive abysses. To me, Wanderer is a character that doesn't really pop off unless you actually do vertically invest into him with C6 Farzan, a 5-star weapon of some kind, whether it's his signature or another, and maybe even a constellation or two. He has very high hyper carry potential, and you also need cracked artifacts. But he's an okay driver. Like he's got some good teams. Like I wouldn't dissuade someone from getting him, especially since he is so good in the overworld. In terms of power, he's not a DPS that I'd recommend unless you're really going to really hyper invest into him with Primogem, not just with artifacts, with Primogem. I personally just prefer most other DPSs. I don't think he's like a weaker DPS, but I would prefer to use most other DPS, because with a shield I do find him on the weaker side, and without a shield he's very hard to play. But he is so good for the overworld, and he does have some driver teams like freeze teams with, you know, Yelan and whatever, and Layla. He uses Toma well if you do need that shield, so I wouldn't dissuade someone from getting him, but I again would not recommend. He's hard to play perfectly, and he just has very low sort of quality of life kind of thing. It's nice that you can stay in Bennett's circle and attack with range. That's nice. Range attack is nice, but he kind of just has, he has a very long, like after getting hit, he has a very long wind-up animation. You don't have much forgiveness to miss part of your attack combos. So I think at this point Zhao is the better character if you have all the pieces, but in the primos it took you to get all those pieces, you could just get C2 Wanderer. Yeah, he's not a free-to-play friendly character unless you just want him for the overworld, and if you want him for the overworld, he is absolutely amazing, but he's not a free-to-play friendly character. You can still 36 star with him with a free-to-play team and all that, and he does have free-to-play teams, but you know, there's better DPS choices if you're trying to be efficient. But if you love Wanderer, like, he still is very good, just you need that C6 Farzan. For Baiju, I think Baiju is a great character. He is a bit more quality of life than he is like a must pull. I think with Farina he got a lot better, but I don't think he's necessary. Like, what are the teams that are necessary for Baiju? Because obviously, like, he works very well with Farina stuff, but I don't know about the idea of just, like, getting him because he works with Farina if you don't have a specific team in mind. He's very good with Aggravate. He's very good with... He's great as... He's also great as a driver himself, like a Hyper Bloom driver. If you don't have Nahida, or if you want to use Nahida on your other side, like, using Baiju as a Hyper Bloom driver, you can use him, Double Hydro, and Raiden, or Kuki, and really do very well. He's also very good to have for Nilou teams, because although Nilou doesn't always want him, like, he's good to have, especially if you are needing a bit of single target on your Nilou team, so you want to run some Farina, or you want to run Yelan or Xingqiu a little bit. Baiju's great to have there. He's solid for Quick Bloom, although often for Quick Bloom you'll be running Nahida as your solo Dendro. I think by and large Baiju is like the most universal value, but for most players, like for new players, I would say I gotta really think about Baiju. To be honest, he also works good for, like, he also works great for Novelette. Hu Tao Farina with Baiju also works well. Aggravate. So he's got honestly lots of team options. Just make sure you do have a team in mind for him. Although if you don't have many healers on your account and you're a new player, he can be a good pickup. But I think here's the one thing I will say. I've been underrating on-field healing a lot. So just don't just get him just because you need a healer for Farina. Make sure you have a team in mind. Finally, the thing I want to consider, oh yeah, the weapon banner here. This weapon banner sucks. Do not get this. If you're a Wanderer, it's okay. Don't disparage yet, because Wanderer's second best weapon is arguably his own. Wriothesley's weapon is arguably just as good, if not better. It's sometimes better, sometimes worse, depending. But Wriothesley's weapon is really good. So if you wanted a weapon for Wanderer, just wait for Wriothesley's rerun. If you want a weapon for Wanderer, wait for Wriothesley's rerun. Wow. So don't wish on this. The donut, I mean, if you end up getting it, it's comfy on Baiju. It actually works on a bunch of characters now, but Prototype Amber is just so good. It's like, why? But this is a 4.6 version, and this is the first time that we haven't had the Archon rerun in the 0.6. So I'm going to call it, she's a guarantee for next patch. So if you don't have Farina, like, it's more important that you get Farina than it is you get Baiju. So I would, like, the 3 characters that I recommend the general free to play is Farina, Kazuha, and Nahida. So I would make sure you get Kazuha and Farina first, but I think Baiju is a really good pull. I don't think too many accounts are gonna regret getting him, but yeah, I just want to make sure, I just don't want to bait anyone into just pulling any character that they don't have a good use for. Like I also want to be careful because I really think Baiju is an incredible character. I think he's one of the better characters, but I just don't want to say everyone should get Baiju. It's not that simple. I'll make a Baiju video before he comes out, so definitely subscribe to see that. And let me know who you're gonna get. Let me know in the comments and subscribe. At 50,000 subscribers, we are going to do a character giveaway. So maybe that's a free Arlecchino, maybe it's the next character, who knows? But definitely subscribe if you want to be caught up with that. Take care. Bye for now.